Hello BookTube, welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and it's Friday, so it's time for Friday Reads. For this video, I want to show you what I'm currently reading and tell you a little bit about those books. I have 9 books that I'm currently reading. 5 of them are in print, and 4 of them are on audio. And then I will also show you a couple of things that accidentally got left off of my Christmas haul video. A couple of bookish Christmas gifts, and 2 books that I bought at Book Warehouse, which is a warehouse type store, like almost like a book outlet, but it's an actual store, and it's like a book discount store. And we have one in Kissimmee/Orlando area, and I went there and got a couple books. So I may as well just start with those. Let me just get those out of the way. Like I said, the store is called Book Warehouse. It used to be on I-Drive in Orlando, and now it has moved down into more of the Disney attractions area. It's closer to Disney. It used to be closer to Universal. Now it's closer to Disney. And I bought 2 books. I found A Lesson in Hope by Philip Gulley. I believe this is the second book in the A Place Called Hope series. I hope it's the second one. I only have the first one. Even if it's not, it's still a series that I want to read and collect. And it's a nice hardcover book. Looks like it takes place at Thanksgiving, so that's awesome. And then I got the first book in the spin-off series of Kingdom Keepers. I couldn't even say it. This is a Kingdom Keepers novel, and it is called The Return, Book 1, Disneylands. And it's, of course, by Ridley Pearson, who wrote all of the Kingdom Keepers books. And I just dropped it. I am currently rereading or re-listening to the first Kingdom Keepers novel. The first series contains 7 books, and I've only read the first 2, and I decided since they're not very long, I would just listen to them again on audio before continuing on with the rest of the series. This first series I would like to read this year. So I went ahead and started at the beginning. And then, excuse me, the 2 bookish items that I accidentally left out of last video, my Christmas haul video, were a couple of tote bags. One of them was given to me, and one was given to Katie by my mother-in-law. I think this one is Katie's, A Tale of Two Kitties, and it's got 2 kitties with her book. And then I think this one is mine, Snore in Peace. So cute. We have a black and white cat who lays just like that to sleep sometimes. His name is Beast, and he's funny. Okay, so moving on to my current reads. I have 5 books that I'm currently reading in print. Now, you might notice back here, I took down my Christmassy kind of things, and I haven't really decided what I'm going to keep in this area. I might use it as more of a staging shelf, or I might put back some of my favorite books. I'm not really sure yet. But what I did just for today is I put my current reads, my current audiobooks, and these are the current print books. And then over here are the rest of the Advent books that I unwrapped in December that I haven't started or read yet. And I hope to read all, if not, most, if not all, of these books before the end of the year. Or before the end of the year. I got so used to saying that in December. Before the end of the month. And so right now, though, because last week I got kind of a little slumpy. I started out the year really good, and I read 4 books in the first 2 days of the year. And then even though I was doing fine on audio, I couldn't seem to get started with print books. So what I did last Saturday, right after, in fact, I forgot to even mention these in my last Friday Reads, but what I did was I picked the 4 longest Advent books, meaning the books I opened in December. And then I also picked up Midnight at the Bright Ideas Bookstore by Matthew Sullivan. This was the pick for Lisa's Buddy Reads for December, and I had said I was going to read it, and I didn't. And so I picked up all 5 of these, and I decided I would just do kind of try a chapter, not to do a tag, but just to get started in each of them, and maybe then I would want to, pursue at least a couple of them and continue them on into the month. And what I ended up doing was just reading basically 2 chapters a day in all of them, so that at this point, in all of them but one, I am caught up through chapter 14 in 4 of the books. And my plan tonight is to catch up with this one. I'm about 4 chapters behind in this one. I've started chapter 11, so I want to get through chapter 14 in this one, and then just keep reading at least 2 chapters a day in all of these until I get them done. And as I start finishing the shorter ones, or the ones that have fewer chapters, I will start picking up these books. So let me tell you about them real quick. This one is the only one of the 5 that's not Christmas themed. This takes place in a bookshop. It's basically a mystery. The main character, Lydia, has made friends with one of what she calls the book frogs. They are kind of a group of people. Some are homeless, some are, for all intents and purposes, are they don't really have much of a life, and so they spend most of their time in the bookstore reading. And one of those is a young man who apparently has committed suicide right at the beginning of the book. He commits suicide. She finds him hanging, and then finds out that he has left his few belongings to her, and he has left her messages in these books, but it's done in a really unique way. And I'll show you one of the pages where she's starting to decipher what the messages are. And I had been waiting. The reason I didn't get this read in December is because I had been waiting on the audiobook. But I'm kind of glad that I ended up reading it in print, because see there, and even when she gets the message, it's hard to read because it's just the way it's written. So it's really intriguing. And I am just, not even, I'm right at about the halfway point almost. And it's just really interesting. I'm not expecting a whole lot from here, because several people on the Goodreads group, I read their comments, and they all said that they liked about the first half to 2/3 of it, and then they didn't care for the ending. So I'm not expecting a whole lot as I continue on and finish the book, but we'll just see what I think about it. So that one I'm enjoying so far. It's a lot darker than these others. So the other books are more Christmas themed. This one is a cozy mystery. This is book 1 in the Christmas, what is the series called? It's about a town that is like a year-round Christmas mystery. It's about a town called Rudolph, New York, and they basically have year-round Christmas. They celebrate Christmas twice, at actual Christmas and then in July, and all of their stores and shops are Christmas themed, and Christmas is their business. And so it's Christmas time in this first book, and a reporter from a magazine has come to take photographs and write up a feature story for his magazine, and he's found dead. So that's where the mystery is. I'm over half done now. I'm trying to read 2 chapters a day, and it's only got 22 chapters. So I'm ready to start chapter 15, and I'm not that far from the end. So I will probably, as I get closer to the end of this one, I may speed on up and try to finish this in just a couple of days. So I'm enjoying it. It's really good. Shannon Riddler she read the second book in this series, and it was her first cozy mystery ever, and it sounded like she enjoyed it. So I'll probably wait and read the next one maybe next Christmas. But it's fun so far. It'd be interesting to live in a town where it's Christmas all year long, I think. I don't know if I would want to, but it sounds it's a concept. Okay, then I am also reading The Gift by Cecelia Ahern. This is my second Cecelia Ahern book, and all of her, I think from what I gather, her books include a little bit of magic. And the only other one I've read by her is If You Could See Me Now, but I've read a few reviews of other books, and that seems to kind of be her kind of her MO, sort of. And this is no exception. It's about a man. Well, it's kind of disjointed. There's a couple storylines, and I'm not sure yet how they relate. I'm about at the halfway point. It's about a man who is, too busy. He's too busy with his career for his family, and he meets a homeless man out front of his office, and he feels compelled at first to give him a cup of coffee, and then later on in the day he feels compelled to give him a job, and so he sends a secretary to get some clothes, and he goes out and offers him clothes and gives him a job in the mailroom. Well, this man keeps turning up in his office, and it's kind of unusual, and you don't really know. You kind of suspect that there's something going on with this homeless man that is maybe a little bit supernatural. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't know yet, but it's good so far. Then there's another storyline about a boy at the very beginning who takes a frozen turkey and throws it through the window of a house, and we don't really know why yet. I think it's maybe he's had a family split up, and one of his parents live in that house with their new family, and he's upset about it. I don't know how yet this story is that the two are going to connect at all, but I'm enjoying it. I like the writing style. It has nice short chapters, which I love, and it's really good so far. So then I am also reading a Christian Christmas themed book, and this one has 2 stories, and I'm almost done with the first one. In fact, I only have about 3 chapters left in the first book. So in addition to reading some more of this one tonight, I want to go ahead and finish the first story in Love Finds You Under the Mistletoe. The first story is called An Appalachian Christmas. It takes place in mid to late 1940s. It's right after World War II has ended and everybody has come home, and the woman is a veteran of the WACs, and she has now taken responsibility of her nephew, whose his father was killed in the war and his mother has died, and she made her sister a dying promise that she would take this boy to the mountains, I believe they're in Kentucky, and introduce him to his paternal grandparents. Well, his paternal grandparents are so distraught over the loss of their son that they don't want to have anything to do with her or this boy. And I mean, she goes to their door and they just make threats that if she doesn't get off their porch, then, they're going to come out with guns blazing and that kind of thing. And so she meets this man who lives there, and he takes her to his grandmother's house and says, well, stay with Granny for a little while and maybe they'll eventually come around. And so meanwhile, she struck up an acquaintance with the family, and she's kind of she's decided to stay a little while in the community, and she wrote a book while she was there. She had been commissioned before she got there to write a book about her experiences in the war. And so I'm getting towards the end now, and some things have come up, of course, with any romance, you have 2 people who obviously are in love with each other, but of course there's extenuating circumstances, and there's all kinds of things that you think are just going to be insurmountable, and there's no way that they can get past this and be able to, have a happily ever after. So I'm just at that point where, how are they ever going to have a happily ever after based on all the things that have happened? And so I'm sure that it will work itself out, as these things always do. But it's really good. And I don't know what's going to... I think the next story is going to be more of a contemporary story. It is called Once Upon a Christmas Eve. And it sounds like it'll be good. The interesting thing is that both of these stories take place in towns that have Christmassy sounding names, kind of like, I didn't even say the title of this, Rest You Murdered Gentleman by Vicki Delany. The town there is Rudolph, New York, and this first story takes place in Mistletoe, Kentucky, and then the second story is Noel, Missouri. So all these fun sounding names. I don't know if any of those are real places. I haven't checked. Okay, then the last one that I am almost halfway done with is A Very Merry Christmas by Sylvia Hysen. This is a YA novel. I wasn't sure going into it what it was going to be about at all. I was just kind of drawn in by the cover. I think the cover's awesome. It's about a teenage rich girl, very spoiled, very self-centered, and her mother's a high fashion photographer who historically hasn't really given her the time and attention that she has wanted, and her mother promised her that they would go skiing over the Christmas holidays, and she was really counting on it. And her mother had every intention of fulfilling that promise, but she got, I guess, sued, or a threatened of being sued by the girl's paternal grandparents, that they had been apparently asking for several years if they could see her, because the girl's father has died, and they haven't seen her since she was 5 years old, and now she's, I guess, 13, 14, something like that. And, after years and years of asking, they finally just said, you need to let her come here for Christmas. You need to send her for Christmas, or we're going to sue you. And so the mother had no choice but to send her. And then she went ahead and took a job in Paris, just to, remove herself from the situation. So now Callie, our main character, is in Wisconsin on this dairy farm, and she is not having it. I mean, she is not happy. And so we're just going to see what happens, and if she's going to come around, or if she's going to learn anything from this experience. I have a feeling that eventually she will see some benefits to the simple life. But anyway, I'm enjoying it. A little bit of the writing seems a little unpolished. I don't know, which is strange because it says the author is a screenplay writer, and maybe it's because she's used to writing screenplays, and this is not a screenplay. Maybe that's why it sounds, I don't know, something about the flow of it is a little weird, but I shouldn't say weird. It's not bad. It's just not as smooth as a lot of books. Like I said, it's not as polished feeling. But it's a fun story, and I'm enjoying it. So that's what I'm currently reading in print. Now, on audio, I started a couple days into the year. I started clicking along with the Lonesome Dove read-along that's hosted by Elena and Ange, and we're supposed to do a section every week, and so I didn't get started on the first day, but a couple days into it, I listened to the first section, and I realized that I had even gone farther than I was supposed to, so I paused and stopped, and then each week starts on Monday. So this past Monday, I got my phone back out, and I hooked in, and I was at home most of the day. So I, again, went a little over what I was supposed to, because I hadn't really looked in the book to see exactly how far I was supposed to go. So when I realized I had gone a little too far, then I stopped again, and so I'm just waiting. Then on Monday, I will probably pick it back up again and listen to the next several chapters. So right now, I am at the beginning of part 2. The cattle drive has started, and now at the beginning of part 2, the little bit I heard, the characters have changed. So we're started to meet some other characters that are in another state. These characters were mentioned a little bit because they are people that are known by the cowboys in Lonesome Dove, but we're now learning about them. So I am right here at the beginning of part 2. And then I've already mentioned that in the car, I am listening to the first Kingdom Keepers book. It's weird because in the very beginning when this was first published, I'm pretty sure it didn't have a subtitle. It was just called Kingdom Keepers. But now, after he added one more to the series, now the first book is called Disney After Dark, and the series is called Kingdom Keepers. And it is about Disney hosts. There's 5 of them. They are kids, like middle school age kids who were hired to be holograms. They were basically filmed, and then Disney used the technology of their body type and their look to make holograms, which are hosts in the park. So now they've been kind of sucked into this magical world where at night when they go to sleep, they wake up and they're in the parks, and they are part hologram and part themselves, and they have to kind of solve this mystery. They have a quest, basically, that they have to do to try to prevent some of the evil, dark side of Disney, to try to, keep that from taking over the parks. So it's fun. It's interesting. If you've never read the series, it's a fun fantasy story. If you love Disney, these books are sanctioned by Disney. You can buy them in the parks. I know for sure you can buy them at the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and that's one of the rides that's talked about in here. My phone is dying, and I'm filming on it, so I got to wrap this up. A few other books. I am reading this with Laura from Mom to Triplets 04, listening to it on audio, A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle. And on my phone, I'm listening to Mess by Barry Yourgrau, one man's struggle to clean up his house and his act. And then a few library checkouts that I will be reading in the near future, some audiobooks. These are all books that we're going to be reading for our book club. Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. Alex and Eliza, A Love Story by Melissa de la Cruz. And A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. And then on my phone, I'm going to be listening to an audiobook that I just got the notification today on Access 360. It's the next book that we're reading for our mystery book club, and it is Cutting Season by Attica somebody. I can't think now, but anyway, it's called A Cutting Season. It's a mystery, or like a thriller type book. So that's basically what I am reading. I'm currently reading. I feel like I'm back in my groove now that I'm actually in the middle of 9 books, and it's fun. So that's all I have for this video. I am still planning and hoping to get some more videos out there in regards to what I read in 2017 and what I'm going to read in 2018. Just got a lot of stuff going on. We met with our builder last night. We hope to get started adding on to our house in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be a busy year, but I'm still reading. So that's all I have for this video. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.